This is Duthie Hill, a public mountain bike park in Issaquah, Washington. Today I'll be reviewing it and telling you guys what trails you should ride when you come here. Duthie has 26 trails, 5 beginners, 7 intermediates, 4 single blacks, 6 double blacks, and 2 pro lines. The 2 pro lines are 12-step and Deepwater Horizon, and Trail Forks considers them pro line. From the main parking lot, you take a little access trail to get to the Fire Road, and at the Fire Road you can branch off to Grand Ridge or Duthie. At the end of the access trail and the start of the Fire Road, a sign says Grand Ridge Trail to the right and Duthie to the left. The Fire Road is kind of a boring ride, but it won't take long until you get to the first trail, which is Boot Camp. Boot Camp is the first trail you'll come across, and it's probably the most popular one here. If you don't have that much experience riding, I definitely recommend Boot Camp, uphill and downhill. The uphill part of Boot Camp has a lot of mellow and easy climbs, and the downhill part has a bunch of berms. That's what the entire trail is. Boot Camp is one of 4 cross-country loops here, and they don't have that much cross-country because it's more of a jumps park, but it's even still a fun warm-up. From Boot Camp, you can branch off to a trail called Deuces Wild, which is an intermediate dual slalom course. This trail is one of the trails that converges to get to the main clearing, but you can also take Boot Camp all the way down or the Great Space Coaster. Right now I'll be showing you this one and talking a little bit about this one, because the Great Space Coaster is just an advanced wooden feature line. So you start off on this trail side by side, and then you go into a few rollers and also a few jumps. And towards the end, the track splits off and then comes back together. And then there's a big tabletop right at the end. This is the central clearing. The trails Deuces Wild, Boot Camp, and Space Coaster all lead here, and some other trails such as HLC line start from the clearing. Here you can practice really basic skills, such as riding over this log. You can also practice drops and progress your way up to the bigger ones. The clearing has 4 wooden drops that you can progress your way up on, and 1 small little curb drop. These drops are nothing compared to the sizes of some drops on the other trails such as Semper or HLC, but if you're a beginner and you want to progress, then these are the things you should practice on. The newest addition to the clearing is this manual trainer, where you put your back wheel into one of the holders and practice your balance. There's plenty of benches to sit down in the clearing if you need a break, and there's also a trailside repair box in the gazebo. This was an Eagle Scout project done in 2017, and it contains all the tools you need to fix up your bike. Right off the side of the clearing, you have direct access to 3 of the easiest jump lines in the park, in the Lunar Air Zone. Right now I'll show you the 3 lines. So after you do the beginner Luna lines, you'll be back in the clearing, which has all the drops and features to progress on. So now I'll show you the flow park, which is what the rest of this video will mainly be talking about. So to get to the flow park from the clearing, you take the same way that you go up for the Luna lines, and then you'll see a sign that says a bunch of trails this way, and a few signs that say expert only. And you take that trail all the way up. At the top of the flow park, you'll find the trailheads for Voodoo Child, Deepwater Horizon, Flying Squirrel, Semper Dirticus, Paramount, and Rehab. And then if you go down Rehab a ways, you'll find 12-step. So right now, I'll talk a little bit about each trail and its difficulty. So starting with Voodoo Child, this is a blue freeride trail right next to Deepwater Horizon. At the start, there's 3 drops that change in difficulty, ranging from 1 to the smallest to 3 being the biggest. And then after that, there's a step up. Once going around a few turns, then you reach a section where you can go off a drop, which is bigger than any of the other 3, or you can go around it. The rest of Voodoo Child is pretty simple, and you just have a few berms and jumps, and then there's also a wall ride towards the end. Now moving on to Semper, I'll talk a little bit about this. This is a feature trail with a ton of wooden features, similar to HLC but in a little bit greater difficulty. Some of the key things to note on this trail are the Rooster Booster, which is the one I'm hitting right there, the step up after it, and the wall ride towards the bottom. There's also a big and small step down that you can choose which one you want to do. I'm not going to talk about Paramount at all because I have a separate progression video on that trail, which you can also check out on my channel. The other intermediate flow trail in the flow park is Rehab. This is very similar to boot camp's downhill section, but it has some gaps that you can either roll or gap. One of the two slope-style trails in the flow park is 12-step, and this one is very cool because it's a bunch of jumps really close together with a lot of berms, and the lips are all very steep. I'm not going to talk about Deepwater Horizon, which is the other slope-style jump, because I have a separate review. Now I'll spend some time talking about my favorite trail in the flow park, which is Flying Squirrel. Flying Squirrel is a double diamond and has the biggest jumps at Duthie. The reason that I like this trail so much is even after they fixed up the berms, which made it awesome, the jumps are just running really smoothly and they're very well built. If you meet up with some friends, the last two jumps on Flying Squirrel are a great way to ride with a bunch of people, and it's really fun to do a train down. What's also nice about this trail is that most of the jumps have very long landings, so you can go as fast as you want and land really far down. Before they fixed up and changed the last jump on this trail, and even fixed up the entire trail, my favorite trail was Paramount, but this trail is running so well now that I love it. At the end of Flying Squirrel and all the other trails at the flow park, you come out into this other clearing, which is much smaller than the other one, and it's just a big gravel circle. To get to the main clearing, you can either take the fire road straight up, or you can take the longer line, which is moving on. This is actually a really fun cross-country trail, and at the beginning, there's some cool wood features. If you want to stay in the flow park, you can either walk up Flying Squirrel, which gets you to the top of that trail, or you can do the other line, which is just a walk up straight to get you to Voodoo, Semper, and Paramount. Once you get into the clearing, you pass one of the pump tracks that they have, and then you keep going and you'll see a sign past the drops that says some trails this way, such as Ryan's, Gravy Train, and GHY line. If you take this trail all the way down to Ryan's and you decide that you don't want to do anything, you can take Honey Badger, which is a flowy green roller coaster, back to the clearing. The easiest trail of this side of the park is Ryan's Eternal Flow. This is a really fun one, and it was named after someone who died in a war. This trail consists of really flowy berms that go into a valley and it swoops in and out. There's also some drops and jumps along the way. Since this bike park has two parking lots, you can take this trail all the way down and then take a green access bridge all the way to the other parking lot, which is a lot smaller. If you keep going past Ryan's, you'll reach the advanced section, which is another small little clearing. There's Big Tree right off the start and a little access trail to get to GHY line, Double Trouble, and Gravy Train. Gravy Train is the beginner gap jump trail here. It's not a beginner trail, but it's the easiest gap jumps you'll find in the park. They start from really small to medium sized to large. There's also Double Trouble, which I also have a trail progression video on, and then there's GHY line. GHY line is a kind of really weird trail, and the jumps are really badly built, and I just don't think it's good. Then there's also Big Tree, which a lot of people consider the hardest trail in the park, just because the jumps are so close together and it's really hard to carry your speed. So coming to an end, I have about 3 more trails to mention. The first one is Braveheart, which is their only technical trail here. It's a fun trail, but that's my only complaint about Duthie is that there's not enough tech. The other trail directly off the clearing is HLC line, which is basically an easier version of Semper. So the last trail I wanted to quickly point out is Jabulani, which is not really part of the flow park. It's just kind of a trail that runs right next to Flying Squirrel, and it's a bunch of berms and a few jumps. So my overall score for this bike park would be a 9.5 out of 10. Here, there really is an amount of things for so many different levels, and in the clearing, there's pump tracks, skinnies, drops, anything that you can need to get better, and it's just a really fun place to ride. The only reason that I'm taking off half a point is because of their lack of technical lines, but that's it. It's a really strong park, and I definitely recommend you guys try it out. I definitely think it's a fair score to give this place because of the variety of all the things from wood features, drops, jumps, and everything in between. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in next week's video, which is full of technical riding from Stevens Pass.